Alright folks, this is Harris Sultan, and today I have a video for you which will show you the ugly face of the far left wokies as well as pro-Palestinian mob. No society can operate without any fundamental values upon which the whole society rests on. The modern world we live in, introduced by the West, has fundamental values of individualism, personal liberty, free speech, and rule of law. These are the foundational values of the West that have made the West the greatest civilization known to man. But just like nothing is perfect, these Western values are not perfect either. They have a fundamental flaw in them, which are exposed and exploited by other value-based systems such as Islam, communism, fascism, etc. Unlike the West, Islam's fundamental values are total subjugation of people living within its territory. It gets even worse for those who are not Muslims but are forced to live under the thumb of Islamic values. Just ask the Christians, the Hindus, and now long gone Jews who used to live under the tyranny of Islam in Muslim countries. Don't get me wrong, it's not just the non-Muslims who suffer under totalitarian values of Islam. People have often recognized the fact that Muslims are the biggest victims of Islam, especially women, gays, transgender, etc. But you would never hear wokies talk about that. But what's happening in the Muslim world is not our primary concern. We can and should condemn the primitive values of Islam that not only hurt non-Muslims, but also Muslims. Our primary concern is how Islam is now beginning to take down the West itself. Other than Islam, the far-left communists and wokes have also allied themselves with Islam in an effort to bring down the Western civilization. But how are these totalitarian groups bringing down the hegemony of Western civilization? Well, as I said, the West endorses and applies its values of free speech on its society. But the fundamental flaw of free speech is that people can use free speech to bring down free speech itself. And once we lose free speech, we lose one of the key components of Western civilization. Check out this Australian Muslim propagandist admitting that an effort to destroy the West using its own values, i.e. free speech, is fair game.
Well, joining me now to discuss some of the issues that were raised over the weekend is Uthman Badar, the Australian spokesperson for Hizb ut-Tahrir. At the last census, 68% of Australians were Christians. 1.7% were Muslims. If it were not for our secular democracy that you denounce, you would not be entitled to a voice in this country, would you? Certainly not in the strength of numbers.
Look, again, I said our views are very clear about democracy. This is not a numbers game. We need to be clear that there's a different opinions.
Though, can you address the question? Because by any perception, you are exploiting the very freedoms that you exhort your followers to reject. If it were not for our secular democracy that you have denounced, our secular democracy that you say is a dying form that you have denounced, you would not be entitled to a voice in this country, would you? It's a central plank of democracy and you denounce it. Do you not see an hypocrisy there?
I want to get this straight. So democracy says you cannot have a different view about democracy. That would be quite ironic, Tracy.
You denounce democracy and you exploit the very freedoms that democracy gives you. Do you not see that? Is that not something you can see?
I think the hypocrisy is on the part of those who, on the one hand, say you got all these freedoms, but as soon as you come up with a different opinion, they want you to go back or to demonise you and to do all this fear mongering.
All right. We thank you very much for your time.
So basically, he said that we are only using our democratic right of free speech to bring down democracy and free speech itself. This video is probably 10 years old. I've been sounding this alarm for nearly half a decade, but only now smart people, are starting to realize that this is a problem. They're using your own tools against you. Freedom of expression allows you to burn an American flag, for example, but that allowance was to avoid the tyranny of governments, not to bring down America itself. Even at the peak of my rebellious days, I never liked the idea of burning the flag of a country that ensures your well-being. Let's just be honest. If there were no America, regardless of its dark past, there would be almost no modern world. We might have all been speaking German or living under communism. The whole idea to allow free speech and free expression was not to bring down free speech and free expression themselves. But unfortunately, as I said before, that these values are fundamentally contradictory and flawed. If you allow free speech to everyone, then not only people who want to make America better will use the free speech, but America's enemies will also use free speech to dismantle America and the West in general. This is the problem we are seeing everywhere happening simultaneously in such an organized manner that you can't help but wonder if there is an organized conspiracy behind it. It's no surprise that Qatar has invested billions of dollars in American universities. This is the reason why the next generation of Americans are terribly sympathetic towards people who want to bring America and the West down. It's unprecedented. It's all happening under our very noses. Check out this pro-Palestine university student openly rallying people up to not only burn American flags, but bring America as a country down with it.
You guys, I need to talk to you about something super serious, and it's this right here. Like, burning the American flag. It's just, wallahi, it's a beautiful sight, but it's not enough. We need to burn down every capitalist and imperialist system that exists. We need to burn the US government, aka global terrorist organization, down to the fucking...
She's saying that burning the American flag is cool, but not enough. It's okay, but not enough. She and many like her don't only secretly hold this sentiment of hating on America, but the free speech of America has allowed her to broadcast her intentions to the whole world. This is an open declaration of war. This is no longer the issue of free speech. As I said, the intent of free speech was to avoid the tyranny of the government, not to destroy the country itself.
Ground. We can no longer allow the worst, most violent, evil, disgusting people to lead us, because they're going to continue making the world a waking nightmare for everybody. So go ahead and keep burning the disgusting, blood-stained, genocidal, shitty United States flag that was created by slave owners. I could give two shits, but also make sure you're doing your part to dismantle all of the systems that make all of these atrocities in the world possible. Okay, thank you, and free Palestine.
It's funny how she cussed out America because of its slavery past, but she said at the start, Wallahi, which means by Allah. It's beautiful. Islam still hasn't ended slavery. Islam not only sanctioned slavery, but encouraged it. Check out my video on slavery in Islam. Links below in the description. The slaves that were held or transported to America, as bad as it was, and I'm glad it's gone from our world, is not even 10% of the slave exploitation carried out by Islam for nearly 1300 years until the West told them to shut it. Saudi Arabia and Yemen had slavery until the middle of the 20th century, and Mauritania had it until the 21st century. The hypocrisy of people like her is mind-numbing. She would never call out the barbarity of Islamists in most Muslim countries. But here she's pretending to be this new age woke human rights activist by cussing out America. The very America that let her parents find refuge in a free society when they were living in a third world squalor. These pro-Hamas Islamists are not human rights activists. They're not even real communists as she pretended to be. She said we need to burn down every capitalist and imperialist country. Oh, that should include pretty much every Muslim country, because last time I looked, there is not a single non-capitalist Muslim country in the world. But did she name any Muslim country? Of course not, because she's neither a communist nor a pro-human rights wokey either. She is just a good old-fashioned Islamist wanting to become a jihadi. I'm making that distinction between an Islamist and a jihadi very carefully, because an Islamist wants to propagate Islamic values, whereas a jihadi wants to do that by force, and this is exactly what she's saying there. I've been saying this for a very long time. Free speech should only be extended to those who believe in democracy and free speech. Those who don't believe in democracy can't have free speech either. Communists, Islamists, and fascists don't believe in free speech. Therefore, we can't give them free speech to use it against us. Currently, there's no system to stop these people who use free speech to destroy free speech. But I'm confident in the coming years, we'll see new legislation around free speech because of these people. And when that happens, we should support it. I hope she's on the FBI's watch list, and I hope that they're watching her like hawks. We as citizens must not let up either. We should keep our eyes on them and keep reporting them to the authorities. So I hope you liked today's video. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like me to continue making awesome videos like these, then you can be my patron by going to patreon.com/HarrisSultan or buymeacoffee.com/HarrisSultan. Until next time, ta-da. If you'd like to support my work, you can become my patron by going to patreon.com/HarrisSultan, or you can simply buy me a coffee.